It's Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Corey and Mason.
Hello and welcome to Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mason Schmidt, here with my best bud, Corey Knudsen.
Ego Fan Karate!
No one will get that reference, but that's fine. Look it up on YouTube. You're going to have to do some digging.
A few select people will get that reference.
Yeah, and mostly people from Duluth, Minnesota, from when you went to school there.
Yep.
Anyways, today we'll be discussing what films we've seen lately, as per usual, and looking into some new releases that are on the horizon, touching base on some physical media releases, as well as the latest notable developments in the world of movies. But first, Corey, how have you been? And second, what are we drinking today?
Exciting times. Sydney Sweeney, as we know, partnered with Dr. Squatch a while back.
Yeah.
But now you can buy her bathwater in a soap. So actual drops of the bathwater in the bar.
That
soap.
feels just like a marketing gimmick. Like I don't think
100%.
like it's like they're not actually putting like the bath water in the soap.
I don't know.
Like
How much water's in a bathtub?
a lot, but like how many people are gonna buy that soap? How many baths is she taking to supply them with enough bath water?
Yeah, how many baths do you think
She had to
she's
get
taken?
in and out of like 8 tubs and just like dip and then get out. That one's ready.
Yeah. I don't know the process, but I fully buy into it. It's like $8, so
Yeah,
maybe
it's a smart gimmick.
Yeah, maybe
I mean,
for like your anniversary gift, like you and Alex.
To my wife, yeah.
Yeah, I'll get you guys a bar.
Actually, she'd probably love that. She loves
Yeah.
Sydney Sweeney. She's like, Sydney Sweeney's so beautiful. I'm like, yeah, she's all right, I guess.
There.
Yeah, no, she looks normal. Yeah, she's completely like average-looking human being.
Yeah.
She doesn't look amazing at all.
So don't buy one for yourself. I'll get it. I'll get it for you guys.
Thank you. I'll get you 8 of them.
Yeah, thanks.
$64 on
Just chew
Sydney
on 'em.
Sweeney's. She wanted like a knife. That's a reference to a movie that we saw this
We'll
week.
preview. Yeah. Before we get to that, Grape Fizz Ale. That's what we're drinking today. This is from New Belgium Brewing in Fort Collins, Colorado. I really like this
Really
stuff.
stuck with the Minnesota theme going to Colorado on this one.
Quiet.
I feel like we're only Minnesota and Colorado though, so it's like, it's fine.
Yeah, we had the what was the blue the beer that we had the other time? It was really fucking good. It had the horns on it.
Oh!
I forget the name of it.
Yeah, I don't know. That was definitely not Colorado though, was it?
It was Colorado.
It
yeah.
was? That feels like
Really
a
good.
Texas one.
It was really good. Colorado obviously got some good stuff. I like this Grape Fizz
Is it
Ale a
Lone
lot.
Star? No,
No.
that's something else. Doesn't matter.
I don't remember. I'll look it up. I'll remember it later.
Yeah,
and
we'll
randomly
look at our
say
show
it.
notes and be like, oh, is this? Okay.
Yeah. But I really like this Grape Fizz Ale. I think it's solid. Mason thinks it tastes like throw up.
Yeah, it tastes like you had grape soda all day and then you threw up in a tent with your step-siblings, and this is the taste of what was coming out.
That's only specific to you.
Yeah, because that happened to me. It was mostly like grape soda and orange Sunkist, so it was like a good concoction. It was like a nice red color, but I just splashed that on my step-siblings as I tried to find the door in the middle of the night, just screaming, "Help me! I'm puking!" And my brother's in the other tent. He rips out of his tent. He's like, "Oh my god!" And I'm just like in my own puking onto my hands, like just bad visual.
Good. Outlaw beer. That's
Outlaw, that's what it was.
Outlaw's
Okay,
great.
that was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't really typically have bad things except for that like marshmallow, tangerine.
Oh
fucking-
yeah. During our Brave
green-
New World review.
Yeah, and we didn't. That was obviously just a recorded like audio recording. It was just a podcast. We didn't do the video at that point, and it was green, and it looked like it would separate over time. Like, you know how like a Guinness will like kind of have like the layers to it, and it's nice and sexy. This was just like snot, discharge, and just like effervescent water. I was like, oh god, so bad, not good. Hated that. That was one of the worst things I've ever tasted. Not even like alcoholic like drinks, just ever.
Awful.
Awful.
One of the
awful,
worst
awful.
hour and a half of my life.
Sitting there just every time you sip it, like, oh my god. Anyway, this is the longest intro we've ever had. Talking about what movies we've seen lately, this past week we had a couple of notable releases that we're kind of excited for. The first of which was Bring Her Back, which is directed by the brothers that brought us Talk to Me. I know their first names are Danny and Michael. I don't know how to say their last names without butchering it or seeming insensitive, but I know that they are the Rocka Rocka Gang on YouTube, and that's how I knew them before Talk to Me. This film stars Billy Barrett, Sally Hawkins, Misha Haywood, and Jonah Wren Phillips. It's about a brother and sister uncovering a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother, played by Sally Hawkins. I always, watching the movie, I'm like, oh, Sally Field is really doing a good job this movie. I just mix up the names all the time. But this was a pretty high up, like highly anticipated movie for me this summer, just because I really did enjoy Talk to Me. I didn't think Talk to Me was the scariest movie I've ever seen. I don't really think there's a lot of like really scary movies being put out today. But this Bring Her Back, the marketing was like, oh, this is one of the scariest horror movies of the year, the scariest movie you've seen in a long time, yada yada. So I went in with like pretty high expectations, and I really, really enjoyed this movie. After previously loving Talk to Me, I really enjoyed this movie. I think the performances are great across the board. Is it that scary? No, it's actually really sad and pretty depressing at times, so that kind of caught me off guard. But like Talk to Me was kind of like that as well, in terms of just kind of, I think the balance between scares and like, oh, let's just upset the audience. I feel like it kind of teetered more towards like, let's just upset them a little bit, which I'm fine with. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Corey, what did you think? I know that you saw this also yesterday, like I did.
Yeah. It's definitely more unnerving and kind of like a little like body horror, kind of gory stuff.
There are moments.
Horror stuff.
Chewing on cutlery.
Yes.
Yes.
Gonna get into light spoilers, kind of, just to talk about like some basic plot points. So if you don't want to know anything, go check out the movie, then come back.
That, and there's not, like, once you get into the movie, you can kind of feel it out where it's going. There's not, like, huge spoilers to be had, so we're going to try and tiptoe around it as much as possible just so that you can have something new to go and see. But we'll have to talk about some aspects of it just because to review it.
Yeah, and that's, I really like the movie, like you said. There's so many scenes where I was just squirming.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, there's a part where a kid just is chewing on a knife, like, vertically. Just teeth are going everywhere.
The lead up to that scene when, so this new brother to this foster family shows up with his sister, and they find out that they have a new brother named Ollie. But Ollie's mute. He doesn't talk. So he's like trying to feed him, like, hey, like, if I feed you, because you haven't eaten in a while, if I give you a cut of this melon, will you exchange that for, like, writing down, like, some sort of exchange that we can have? Will you communicate with me? Gives him pen and paper, cuts a melon, gives him a piece of melon, and Ollie just grabs the knife, and he's like, okay, fine, I'll get you a plate. And then he turns around to grab him a plate, and you just hear that bite.
The crunch.
Onto the metal, and you're like, oh, God. Oh, God, don't turn around. And then you see him turn, and it's just vertical. I was like, oh, my God.
Also, before he starts chewing on it, like you said, he grabs the knife by the blade.
And he just lets go. He's like, oh, okay.
He's like, oh, let me turn around real quick. No! You watch him. You
kid,
take that away.
That kid has foul intent.
Yeah. So it's stuff like that. There's just a part where Jonah Wren Phillips, who plays Ollie, very good in the movie, by the way.
All the performances across the board were fantastic.
Yeah. Also, Sora Wong plays the young girl in this movie who's partially blind, which I thought she was really great too. But there's a part where Jonah Wren Phillips is just like chewing on a countertop that I didn't think would elicit something from me. Where I'm like, just like, I don't know, just kind of a squirm-inducing moment. But I really like this movie too. I think Sally Hawkins is just an MVP of this movie. She is. This is probably my favorite performance of the year.
Yeah.
Probably her best performance. I love her in Shape of Water too, but I think this is just a lot of different levels that she's hitting, and a lot of that is her dealing with a lot of grief over the loss of her daughter. You find that out pretty early on in the movie, so I feel okay saying that.
And it happened, like, she brings it up in passing. Like, it's just like, this happened, and then they move on from it. It's not anything big spoiler.
Yeah, and so I think that really helped this movie, because there's a great scene early on. The two kids that come over, they lost their dad, again, early on in the movie. So they come to this foster home, and the son and Sally Hawkins are having this conversation after they've been drinking, and they're just like back to back, and they're just like going through their grief, which I thought was a really good scene, and very like A24.
Yeah.
You know, just like kind of deeper themes in their horror movies, the elevated horror, if you want to call it that. So I really enjoyed that. My one kind of main issue with the movie is that it's a little bit predictable, I thought, which I haven't really heard many people talk about in their reviews. But between, like, you hear Sally Hawkins say, like, I lost my daughter, and, you know, like, she's very upset about it. And then the title of the movie is Bring Her Back.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I wonder what she's trying to do. What is she trying to do? So, like, a lot of the, like, intrigue of, like, oh, what's going to happen here? I didn't feel that, like, mystery as much, because I'm like, well, I know what she's trying to do.
Yeah.
But I still do like the, like, old VHS tapes that she's watching. It's very, like, Sinister-esque.
That made me think of you, because I know that's one of your favorites, so I was like, Corey's going to like this.
Yeah, Sinister's my favorite horror movie. So I really like that. Just, like, culty stuff has always freaked me out a lot.
And what I really enjoyed, because, like, it got to a point where I'm like, I think I know where this is going. Oh, Ollie doesn't speak. He's mute. Okay, well, I kind of get, even based off of, like, the little, like, scraps of footage they've shown us of, like, what this, like, weird ritual is that happens. And I really appreciate that they don't over-explain it. They don't try and talk about who those people are that are doing this ritual. You can kind of just glean from it, like, oh, something happened. I don't want to talk too heavily spoilery about it. That's like one of the best parts of the movie is just seeing the fucked up shit that's within those videos and just how it kind of relates to what Sally Hawkins is trying to achieve with her daughter. But I like that they didn't over-explain anything. You just kind of feel it out. But it does hit a point where you're like, all right, I have all the information. Now I just need all the characters to end where they're going to end. Like, I need them to get to these places.
Feels like you're ahead of the movie.
Yeah,
sometimes.
a little bit, yeah. And I agree with that. Sally Hawkins, this is my favorite performance I think I've seen from her. Like, best of this year, but also I think best ever. And she's playing into that, like, motherly, almost like the mom from Paddington 1 and 2, where she is that role. And she's basically has those, like, quirks to her. She dresses similarly to those movies, too. And she's so warm, but you can just see that something's wrong. Like, something went awry. And she's just, like, a little tilted.
There's just a lot of little things, too. Like, there's a funeral scene early on in the movie. And she's there, and obviously everyone's dressed in black and suits and dresses, whatever. And she's, like, a very bright purple, kind of colorful thing on. And just, like, these big, like, hoop earrings. Mm-hmm. So, like, little things that you're like... You're just off a little bit.
But they also do a good job of like tying that into her previous career. Like she was a counselor, and they don't like specify like grief counselor, like counselor for kids, but you can kind of get like, oh, she probably worked with like kids that have gone through some sort of traumatic event because she's worked with people that are within like the police precinct and help kind of these kids that are coming out of horrible situations that need to go into the foster care system. So she kind of has like some sort of connections to that, and you can kind of see that in how she. Like, at the funeral, which was also very unsettling, of like, kiss your dad. Kisses him on the forehead, on the lips. It's custom. Okay! And then she's like, I'll do it. I was like, oh my god. Just like, there's a lot of like uncomfortable scenes like that. While there wasn't really anything that really scared me, honestly, the one scene that like really like shook me, or the one shot that really got to me, you can see the beginning part in the trailer, and it's in the mirror. Mm-hmm. There's like one quick cut, which I don't think they showed that ending of that shot in the trailer, but the ending of that specific shot, I was like, whew, okay, something's happening. And that really worked for me. And yeah, I just like a lot of the intrigue. It is a somewhat of a slow burn horror film. You can kind of expect that with A24. I don't know. I think you and I were talking about this before recording. I think I enjoy Talk to Me More. I like Talk to Me More. But this isn't like a traditional horror movie, I feel like, in the way that people have talked about it. Saying that it's the scariest movie of the year or ever. I'm like, it's not. There's, like I said, a couple of unsettling things, and it was really like depressing, but I really enjoyed it. I prefer Talk to Me, but I think these two directors, these brothers, need to keep making horror movies. Or even, like, sometimes I struggle to call this a horror movie. This one, I'm like, it's probably a horror movie. They need to keep working within this genre, because they crank out stuff that I'm eager to see, end up really liking, and if they're not scary from beginning to end, there's usually a couple of notable things that really like shake me to my core.
Yeah, I love these brothers too, and I agree. I hope they keep doing stuff. I think I like Talk to Me hair more.
Yeah,
I think that movie stuck the landing a little bit better. I love the ending to that movie. Bring Her Back sort of feels anticlimactic in its ending. I wanted something a little bit darker. Personally, I was like, go for it. Like, go there. And it kind of ends, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But again, like, the performances are all great in this movie. I think it touches on a lot of deeper themes than Talk to Me, and kind of is maybe like a better movie in that sense, but I think just as far as like kind of horror movie, if I'm putting on like in October or something, Talk to Me might be the one that I go back to. But if you know that you like A24 horror movies, you'll probably really like this one. If you're a fan of just generic horror movies, this one's pretty gory and like, I don't know, it's like you said, it's very depressing.
Yeah,
and
I saw it by myself because like this week I was like, hey, talking to my wife, like, do you want to go see any of these movies? Like, I heard Bring Her Back is like kind of gory, kind of gross, and also kind of depressing, which it is. And she was like, I think I'm gonna set that out. And when I was watching it, I was like, it's probably a good thing Allie didn't come to this. She would have been really upset like after this. So it's not gonna be a movie for everyone. You're gonna have to know your taste. If you like Hereditary, not that these movies are a 1-to-1 comparison, but it left me kind of feeling like the same kind of gross, like, sadness leaving the movie theater of when I left Hereditary. I was like, yeah, okay. I like Hereditary, I like Bring Her Back, I like Midsommar. Like, it's very much the A24 brand of horror. So
yeah. And just kind of one last note on that, speaking of Hereditary, I wish this movie would have had a little bit more of Hereditary's writing, where it was a bit more subtle in teasing things, like especially with Ann Dowd's character in Hereditary, where you don't know that she's a part of this thing, and just kind of like setting up clues that are a little bit more like, oh shit, at the end, instead of kind of knowing it along the way. But still, really enjoyed the movie. It's an original horror movie, which we'd love to see, and two YouTube guys, so that's pretty cool too. The other big release from this week was Karate Kid Legends. This is the, believe it or not, 6th movie in the franchise. 7th project, I guess, after Cobra Kai, the show.
Oh, yeah. Is that still running? Is that
I think it's done.
Okay.
But after like watching through all the movies this week, I kind of want to go and rewatch it. I've heard very good things about the show, and maybe someday I'll sit down and watch it. But if you haven't, gather the fact that I'm going to do a full rewatch for things if I haven't seen the entire franchise, or even if I have, like Mission Impossible. I'm going to sit down and do a rewatch, committed to the bit. So not going to talk in depth about each Karate Kid movie because there's really not that much to talk about.
You get the first one and then the other ones.
And I had seen the first two before doing this rewatch, and I remember watching the first two with my dad as a kid. And I loved the original then, and I love the original now. On a rewatch, I think it holds up really, really well. I love that movie. It's like perfect 80s. It's just like kind of a kid version of Rocky, but not in a bad way. Not like a mild version, but just same sort of beats that you're hitting there. Also, same director.
I didn't see the original Karate Kid until I was in college. So I was like, all right, I have no nostalgia for this, and I loved it. He wins on a bullshit move, and that still bothers me. And, like, I get that that's a joke, and, like, How I Met Your Mother of, like, Barney Stinson is, like, Ralph Macchio shouldn't have won. He won on a kick to the face, which is, like, they outline in the movie as being an illegal move. I watched the movie, and I thought that, too. And I was like, this is bullshit. He shouldn't have won that match. Like, he definitely just... They strictly go out of their way to say, you can't do this. And then he wins on it, and I'm like... Bullshit.
See, I was like, that whole thing, the How I Met Your Mother, and like the kind of like legacy of that. I was like, okay, let me like actually listen and see. Do they specifically say?
I swear they do, don't
and
they?
They say, I think Elizabeth Shue in the movie is like, all right, you get a point if it's waist or above.
Okay.
And then they say any kicks to the face are like you get penalized or something for it. So it's not. They don't specifically say like it's illegal, but so he shouldn't have won on it. But he should have been like penalized or like something.
He could still do it. Okay.
So I was like, because I was the same thing. I'm like, let me like really listen and see.
This.
So it's kind of interesting. But I love that movie. I think it's great. The relationship between Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita, who got nominated for an Oscar for this movie, which I had not remembered. Their relationship is so great. The mentor and the student is so much fun, and that's the best part of the first 3 movies between them. And Elizabeth Shue is really nice, supporting, kind of love interest in there. Martin Kove as John Kreese, the Cobra Kai sensei, is just badass.
So scary.
Just this, like, Vietnam vet who's just like, all right, you kids are going to kill. It's like, whoa, this is karate,
Dude's
dude.
face is made out of rock. Like, he's just solid.
So, I love the first movie. I think it's great. I think it's very rewatchable and so iconic.
And it holds up really well today still.
Yeah, there's so many lines from that movie that are just a part of pop culture. Everybody knows.
I wonder if we would have gotten Cobra Kai if it wasn't for How I Met Your Mother. And just the constant bringing up of Ralph Macchio and whoever plays...
William Zabka. Johnny.
Yeah.
Sweep the leg.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But Karate Kid Part 2 came out 2 years later. Again... directed by John G. Avildsen, who did Rocky and Rocky 5. So,
just bringing the Rocky directors over.
Yeah, so he did the first 3 Karate Kid movies. Karate Kid 2 is fine. They go to Okinawa and they learn about, Pat Morita and his, Mr. Miyagi's backstory and his, relationships that he had when he was younger. The main thing I don't like about this movie is that my favorite scene from the original, when Miyagi gets drunk and he's talking to Daniel about his wife, and you find out that his wife and kid died when he in like an internment camp when he was in the war. And then in the second movie, he goes back to his home village and you find out that there's like a girl that he always loved, and it kind of undermines the like impact of that original scene because you're like, oh well, that's his wife and kid, and now you're like, well, actually there was this other person too. So it's kind of takes away from that a little bit. It still has some fun in there. Again, Oscar nominated for Best Original Song, so they were, just cooking on the getting Pat Morita and the gang at the Oscars, because why not? But this movie's okay. It's fine. Karate Kid Part 3 starts to get really wacky. They start a bonsai business, and they're like rappelling down cliffs to plant bonsai trees, and that's a very big portion of this movie, which is really just strange and weird. And then the villains of this movie are so mustache twirling, like just goofy and corny, and I didn't really care about it all that much. The end tournament is still fun, like Daniel's going to reclaim his title and whatever. Miyagi's like, no, you shouldn't do it for, just for the glory, like it should be a reason for it. So some of that still works okay. The next Karate Kid with Hilary Swank is one of the worst, like, not big budget, but like kind of like A movies. It's not like a B movie where a lot of those you're like
Hollywood production.
Hollywood production. This was dog shit. I hated this movie. I read you the line before, but I have to read this again because
I'm also not the biggest Hilary Swank fan. Like, I like her $1 Million Baby, and that's about it. She was actually really good, and I think The Hunt that came out during like COVID times of like all those people stuck in like one area. She's like one of the villains in that movie, and I really enjoyed that. But you got Michael Ironside in this movie too. Like Walton Goggins is in the next. Walton
Goggins is one of the little kind of like thugs in the movie. One of the villains.
Oh, what a movie to start up in.
Yeah, but Hilary Swank, she's the next Karate Kid, and she's like trying to insult this guy in the movie that she's kind of interested in, and she says a line just in amongst this string of insults, and she says, "I'll call Domino's Pizza and have them deliver 48 pizzas overnight to your house."
It's an ad.
How is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
How's that an insult?
He's like, I will eat pizza for a week. Like, thanks. Like,
I had to pause the movie and be like, did I miss something, or is that just dumb?
Is this a callback?
Just stupid. So, this movie is dumb. She's watching after a hawk on the roof of her school, and that's the first third of this movie. The middle third is her and Mr. Miyagi go to a monastery, and she's training there and trying to jump from one rock to another. And she does it, so then they go back to her high school, and...
and she does it?
Yeah, it's dumb. And then they go back to her high school, and then Mr. Miyagi's, like, buying a dress for her prom, and then she goes to prom, and the villains, like, bungee jump into the prom and just crash into tables, and then just take off the straps and walk away. And then the scene ends, and then we, like, go to the final fight. It's weird. I don't know what it was or what happened. This movie is ass, and they're just trying to capitalize on the Karate Kid name and IP, whatever. So, it took a while for them to do another Karate Kid movie, but we got another one in 2010.
Ooh, yeah.
Which we got that. I really like the poster, actually.
I really dig this movie as a whole, actually.
This was my first time seeing it. I remember seeing the trailers back in the day. It starts off with some very 2010s type music. It's great. Justin Bieber. Yeah, look at that. I love
when they do cover art.
Reversal artwork. Yeah. It's good stuff. But yeah, this one was 2010, and it's the same as the original.
Yeah, it's almost a beat for beat remake.
It's about 30 minutes longer, and it is the exact same thing. But Jaden Smith actually not awful in this movie. Like, I don't know. This was in the era where Will and Jada were like, "You're gonna be a star."
Yeah.
Between After Earth.
Yeah.
They're like, "You're gonna be big," and then he's still like doing music, I guess now. But Jackie Chan also good in the movie, but it's also not karate; it's kung fu, which I know has been the conversation about it forever. Yeah. Like they specifically say they're like, "No, it's not karate. This is kung fu." I'm like, well, why the fuck
Kung
is
Fu Kid?
Yeah, it's like honestly, you could have just called it that, but
and just keep it within the realm of this franchise, and still be like, it's just a little bit different.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like the new setting, but it's overall like the tournament at the end is like kind of fun, I guess. But it hits all the same beats, and I would never rewatch this one over the original.
Yeah.
In any sense.
I think I'd agree with you. I'm really nostalgic for this. This is the 2010 Karate Kid with Jaden Smith was the first Karate Kid movie I ever saw, and I remember watching it. My stepdad at the time rented this from Redbox, and he rented The Karate Kid and Marmaduke. So we did a double feature of Karate Kid and Marmaduke, which thankfully we did The Karate Kid first because I watched that with full attention, really enjoyed it, had a good time. I'm like, wow, 10-year-old Mason was like, yeah, this is a good movie. I really like Karate Kid. And then we started Marmaduke, and I was like, fuck, I am done. This is so bad. So I have a lot of nostalgia for this movie. I've only seen it the one time, though, so like, I don't know. But I still like the beats of the original Karate Kid are what I remember, and Ralph Macchio in that role I remember more than Jaden Smith in his role in this movie. So like, if I was gonna go back and rewatch them, I think I'd just go with the original because it is, I think, easy to say that it's the best one. And I love Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi is so awesome. Jackie Chan is great in this movie, but there's something just special of Ralph Macchio with Mr. Miyagi in that relationship. They're just very like sweet together. It's just like nice and innocent. It's just like, oh, I like this.
He's just making him do chores around.
Yeah, he's like, what the fuck is this, free labor?
My fence needs to be painted. My deck needs to be sanded. My cars need to be washed.
Yeah.
He's like, actually, there's a little lesson here.
You've been doing karate.
I came up with the lesson after I told you to do
these
things.
This is, I'm just trying to come up with this on the fly.
Yeah. But yeah, it is really sweet. So, besides rewatching the original, this was kind of a difficult watch through. Just like, they're each like about an hour and a half, except for 2010. But I was like, God, these are just slogging along.
Yeah.
But Karate Kid Legends,
the new release
of the week, finally getting there. I actually really dug this movie. This is my second favorite of the franchise, which I guess is not saying that much, but I really liked this kind of legacy sequel. I know a lot of people have been pretty lukewarm on it, but I really enjoyed, especially Ben Wong as the new Karate Kid. I think he is really strong in this movie, and I think he's going to be a rising star. He's cast in the new Hunger Games movie, so I think
Long
you're going to...
Walk, or whatever that is, the Stephen King adaptation, he's in that.
Yep, so I'm excited to see him pop up in more stuff, because I think he's really good. And I think they smartly focus on his story. I mean, it's the same Karate Kid moving to a new city with your mom and bullies.
Conflict,
Yep, so it's all the same story beats, but I think he's really good as a character. I like his relationship that he has with Sadie Stanley in the movie. It's a sweet little kind of high school type relationship. And I think that him and Jackie Chan have a really good relationship, because you see him start out in China in the beginning of the movie, and he's training with Jackie Chan. And I like that Ben Wong starts out and he knows Kung Fu. Mm-hmm. He's not like fresh. He doesn't need to get trained from, the ground up. He already kind of has that. And that plays into a subplot in the movie that a lot of people don't seem to like, but I really enjoyed, which is the dad of his love interest, played by Joshua Jackson from Mighty Ducks. He is like kind of this washed boxer, and he's trying to pay for this pizza business that he has, and he's really struggling, and he wants to enter this fight. And he's like, he sees Ben Wong fighting some dudes, and he's like, I need to learn what you just did, because that looks sweet. And at first I'm like, I don't know, would an old guy like really take lessons from this kid? But it actually started to work on me, and I thought it was an interesting spin for one of these movies where it was different than anything we'd seen of the student actually teaching somebody else, and also merging a different like style of boxing and kung fu. I kind of like that. So I enjoyed that subplot, and then you get to the final tournament. And they do some cool stuff where it's like video game type, where like they'll land a punch and it'll make like a little noise and like +1 or whatever. I kind of liked it. Yeah. It was cool. Okay. And they had like a bracket kind of overlaid on the movie too, of like, so you can see as the tournament's going on. I just had a really good time with this movie. I didn't really expect too much from it. Ralph Macchio is also in the movie. He comes in pretty late, but he doesn't need to be there. There's no reason for him besides the nostalgia and
bringing him back into the franchise.
Yeah, and they do tie in at the beginning of the movie. They show a scene from Karate Kid 2, and then they kind of like add in a line of dialogue to tie in the two different universes essentially, which I liked. I thought it was a nice way to just tie it all together. And even though Ralph Macchio is kind of not entirely crucial to the movie, it was nice to see him and Jackie Chan, just their banter and like different styles of training, bringing the kung fu and the karate together. I liked it. So this one for me worked. It's not like a great movie by any means, but I think it's better than a lot of like other critics that I've seen review it.
Yeah, I was excited to see this movie. I haven't seen it yet, but I likely will. I might even try and catch it later on today. I heard a lot of the initial reactions and people just being like, oh, it's not great, which immediately, if it's not great, it's bad, it's horrible, it's dog shit. But a lot of the gripes I feel like I have seen have been to do with is it Joshua Jackson, that subplot about the wash boxer, and people being like, oh, well, that's not really part of Karate Kid, and just like, I feel like being thrown off by the presence of the subplot that you don't really get in trailers, which, you know what, you got blindsided by something in a movie and it didn't work for you, fine, that's understandable. Knowing or hearing all of that going into it, haven't seen this movie yet, I'm actually like, all right, well, I feel like now that I know a lot of the things that people haven't had work for them or had issues with, I think I'm going to be more susceptible to liking it. That, and I've heard about that callback scene, that kind of reused footage from Karate Kid 2, and I'm like, I've heard about how they use that, and I like that idea of trying to work in these two kind of different, not different franchises, but working these two different, like, opposite ends of the franchise into each other. And I'm really excited to see Ben Wong in a movie. I've heard about Ralph Macchio not being in much of the movie except for the final third, which I feel like the trailer maybe does mislead you a little bit in the fact that you, like, when I heard that, I was really shocked because I'm like, this trailer makes it feel like it's going to be like the Ralph Macchio, Jackie Chan show. And apparently it's not. But that I also don't feel like I'm going to be that upset about. So I'm still really eager to go out and see this movie. Like I said, maybe we'll go see it today. But for it to be the second best in the franchise, and for you to have sat down and watched all of them and know going into it, like, all right, I know the low points, I know the high points. Where does this sit? I take your word with a lot more credibility than most reviews that I've seen, where I'm like, I don't know if you really have like the most exposure to all of this franchise. Since you sat down through all of them, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take your word a little bit heavier, just since you sat through all of it and you're like, all right, well, I know how bad this can get. But yeah, I'm still pretty excited to go see this. I don't have the highest expectations anymore for it, which is fine. I just want a good time at the theaters, and from the sounds of it, I think I'll get that.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, like, even watching through, and I didn't love all the movies, I'm kind of tempted to watch through Cobra Kai. Not like anytime soon, but eventually it's going to pique my interest to see, Ralph Macchio and William Zabka back. So there's also kind of like not a mid-credits scene, but like the movie ends and then the title pops up and then there's like one more scene. So just teaser. Like, it's very hard to miss it, but also like it's a nice little cap on the movie. So
were they trying to set up for like sequels at all?
No, it's just a nice little like franchise kind of capping moment of like, oh, that's sweet. I like that.
Sweet. While I only went to the theaters for Bring Her Back this past week, I sat at home and went through a lot of movies that my wife always really wants to watch. Whenever we're like laid up at home and we don't really have anything to do in the evenings, there's usually one of three movies that she's going to bring up. She always brings up The Menu, she always brings up Bad Times at El Royale, and she always brings up Eurovision Song Contest, the Will Ferrell movie with Rachel McAdams on Netflix, which I love that movie. But I was like, you know what? I don't really know what I want to watch this week. There's a couple movies I want to go see in theaters, but since I'm at home, like, all right, let's watch these. So this past week, I sat down with my wife and we watched The Menu, and then the next night we watched Bad Times at El Royale. The Menu is one of our collective favorite movies, just because her and I are massive Anya Taylor-Joy fans, but we're also, and she is slowly becoming a Ray Fiennes fan, because she's like, I never really noticed him, and then like saw him in The Menu, and now he's gonna be in the new Hunger Games, and he just keeps popping up, oh, he's in Conclave. Whereas I'm like, I love Ray Fiennes, he's one of my favorite actors. So we both love The Menu, and if you haven't seen the movie, go see it, because it has a stacked cast of obviously Ray Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicholas Hoult, and Hong Chow. The synopsis is about a young couple that travels to this remote island to eat at this very exclusive restaurant, where the chef has prepared a very lavish menu that just consistently gets really tongue-in-cheek and really brutal. I really love this movie. It's a fun suspense thriller, and I think Anya Taylor-Joy is a really good heroine in this movie. There's a lot of really good lines that still crack me up. Like, the movie's darkly funny. Once the movie reveals itself as to like, oh, most of these people probably aren't going to make it out of this, like, tasting this menu alive. And there's a line of them like trying to argue like, well, no, I shouldn't die. And there's this one woman who's like, Ray Fiennes asked this woman, where'd you go to school? She's like, Brown. He's like, you have any student loans? She's like, no. He's like, you're dying tonight. I'm just like, just shit like that always, like, I'm like, that's such a good line. But if you haven't seen The Menu, go see it. It came out in 2022. It was one of my favorite movies of that year. It's such a fun, rewatchable movie for me and my wife, and it's one of the ones that she consistently, like, we watched it this past week. I won't be surprised in like 2 weeks if she brings it back up. Like, we should watch The Menu again.
Yeah, it's a interesting movie because it doesn't quite fit in any like genre box specifically.
There's like it's a comedy. It's kind of a thriller. I feel like the trailers kind of made it look almost like a horror movie, but it's not. But it's a good little like suspense thriller, and it's really concise. It's really well paced. It's fun. The characters are fun to sit with. It's maybe the best movie John Leguizamo's ever been in, which is also enjoyable. Which I can't really say.
Ice Age? You're gonna tell me Ice Age?
Menu is better than Ice Age. But also, John Leguizamo is in the first John Wick.
He is. Yeah.
And I don't know if I like the menu more than John Wick.
He's also in Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs.
You're just gonna name all of them? I mean, Sid is a iconic character. That was like a nickname for me in middle school.
Last melon.
In middle school, I used to get my eyebrows plucked. Or not plucked. I used to get them waxed. I pluck them now. This is a random story that I didn't think I was going to share. But, so I used to get them waxed, and they'd wax them so far apart that my eyes look like they're in different time zones. Like
Anya Taylor-Joy?
People didn't know about her then, so they just called me Sid. I got called Sid by, like, Marco all the time. We'd be like, sup, Sid? I'm like, you're like one of my good friends. Can you be nice to me? But anyway, John Leguizamo, I like you more in the menu than Ice Age. He's good in John Wick. I don't know. The Menu is a good movie. Check it out if you haven't. I'm sure it's on, I think, HBO Max, so easy to find streaming. Also watch Bad Times at the El Royale, as I mentioned, which came out in 2018, which me and Corey were talking about the year of 2018 was kind of within a good release chunk. You said you saw this movie in a double feature with First Man?
Yeah, this was freshman year of college,
yep.
And it was like the first couple months, it was like October, I think it had come out. So I was just like going to the movies all the time. Mm-hmm. First movie I saw in college in theaters was The Predator. That was welcome week of college, and I was like, obviously you don't like know a lot of people, so I'm
wow, life sucks.
I'm like, I kind of just want to go do what I love,
yeah.
And go to the movies. So like saw Predator, and then I did a double feature of Bad Times at the El Royale and First Man, which is a really fun day.
Underrated Damien Chazelle movie.
Yeah, it's good, but I love Bad Times. I think it's super underrated. It's Tarantino-esque in some of its writing and storytelling, but I love the setting of it too. Yeah. Just this hotel, Chris Hemsworth.
On the line, the borderline between Nevada and California. It's like, all right, well, which side of the hotel do you want, or the resort do you want to stay in? And they're like, well, the rooms are $1 more expensive in California, and they're like, why? And you're like, it's California, I don't know. And just weird things like that, and even just like the style of like each room and how it changes based on where you're staying in the hotel is really cool. This film is directed by Drew Goddard, who made Cabin in the Woods, which is a very fun, tongue-in-cheek horror romp, genre-bending horror movie that's very meta with what it's doing, and I really love that movie. Stacked cast. Like, this is one of the things that stands out the most to me now, rewatching this, is holy shit, this is one of the best casts assembled for a movie that does not get widely talked about, I think, anymore. The film stars Jeff Bridges, Cynthia Erivo, Dakota Johnson, John Hamm, Chris Hemsworth, Kaylee Spaney, Lewis Pullman, and Nick Offerman. There's other actors in it, but like that is the brunt of the leading ensemble. And I feel like we don't get movies like this that are just like an original story with a massive ensemble cast of who's. Just amazing, stellar cast. Jeff Bridges and Cynthia Erivo steal the show for me in this movie. Cynthia Erivo, this is the first thing I remember seeing her in, and I was blown away. I saw her in this, and then I think later on, it might have been 2018. I forget if Widows came out in 2018 or 2019. But I saw this first, and then I saw her in Widows, and I was like, I love Cynthia Erivo. So, love the cast for this movie. It's these strangers just all showing up at this hotel, and there's intrigue, there's a mystery of like, why is there a hallway behind every room that has a one-way mirror that you can see through into the room? Why are we being watched? What's going on at this hotel? What's the intention of the bellhop? What's like all this stuff? And it's almost like a whodunit movie, with a lot of good intrigue, and Chris Hemsworth being the most creepy, like cult leader Jim Jones, like, all right, like I really dig this movie. It is very like Tarantino-esque in its writing and the characters' personalities and stuff, so it's a really enjoyable time. The one thing I will say that may sound like a negative, the movie's 2 hours and 20 minutes, so that's kind of long, but it never, to me, got boring. Like, it's never, like, I was never feeling the runtime. I was always so enthralled by what was going on screen. The best parts of the movie take place at the hotel. The things that do kind of sometimes I'm like, I'm not the most interested in this. While it's still good, I'd rather be at the hotel, is the flashbacks to kind of show us how these characters got here or what their backstory is. I really like Jeff Bridges as kind of like a pastor, as a father, and everyone's like looking to him for guidance, and he's like, I'm actually like a bank robber. Like, I don't do this. This is not my role. But yeah, it's a really fun movie. Very, I think, underseen for its time, and for the cast that it has, it's a bit undervalued, and I think more people could probably have a good time with this movie than really have given it a chance. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check out Bad Times at the El Royale. I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's such a good movie.
Yeah, I could see this becoming a cult classic in 10, 15 years. Kind of very underrated. So Another franchise that I watched through. I watched fucking 12 movies this week.
Yeah, you put down a fucking gauntlet.
It's been a very busy few weeks of homework for me that I didn't have to do, but I don't know.
Did you watch all the Karate Kid movies first and then go into the Lilo and Stitch?
No, so yeah, I watched through all the Lilo and Stitch movies. I did that first because, we had the new live action one coming out, and I'd only seen the original, and so I'm like, what other time am I going to want to watch these movies?
Yeah.
And I like to check them off the list, so I'm like, you know what, fuck it, let's do it. But just after, Final Destination, all those movies, Mission Impossible, Karate Kid, and now Lilo and Stitch, I'm like, I've been humming through franchises here, and I'm just exhausted. Which may sound like a weird complaint of, oh, you have to watch movies, but,
Yeah.
It's a lot of movies to watch, and especially Lilo and Stitch, which I really love the original movie.
It's great.
It came out in 2002, and it was a perfect movie for us growing up.
Yeah, we got to have this movie for all of our childhood.
Once we were 5 or 6 years old, watching this movie, we're like, oh, this fucking hits. I love Stitch. He is just a squirrely little bastard.
He's so funny. No matter how old you are, he cracks me up.
Yeah. This is a DVD that I have from when I was a kid. The back is very fucked up. I don't know if I turned into Stitch and fucking started chewing. Just got really feral like he is. But I love the movie, and it's very nostalgic for me too. I don't think it's one of the best Disney animated movies, but it is, again, just the nostalgia hits really heavy with this one. I love the setting in Hawaii. I love Polynesian Hawaiian culture. I just think it's very interesting. And like I said, Stitch is a great character, and I love that they refer to him as a dog in the movie. Everyone's like, or Lilo especially, she's like, yeah, this is my dog. And everyone's like, no, it's not. It's not a dog. He's blue and he's got weird 4 arms. What is this? Yeah. And one of the funniest lines in this movie, I was telling you before, at the end when Jumba and Pleakley are coming in to get Stitch at the house, and shit's just going down. Everyone's just fucking up walls everywhere. Shit is just chaotic. Lilo calls Cobra Bubbles, played by Ving Rhames, which great character name also. Just fuck yeah. She calls him and she's like, yeah, there's aliens fucking up my house. She doesn't say it, but she's like, aliens fucking up my house right now. And he's trying to talk to her all right, who's there? What's going on? She's like, oh, wait, hold on a minute. She's like, oh, good, my dog has a chainsaw. And this is another one where I just had to pause the movie. I was just laughing my ass off. You see Stitch in the background, just zoom. I'm like, this hits. This is so good. I think the movie's really funny. The music is also really good. Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride is one of my favorite Disney songs. That just a perfect song for this movie. And yeah, so this one's great. Nominated for Best Animated Feature the year it came out. So really fun one. And then there's a lot of sequels. There's Stitch! The movie, which is not actually the second movie. It's the third movie. But it's a weird thing because they did a TV show as well.
Oh, yeah, they had that going on.
So this was the lead into the show. But yeah, in the second one, Stitch, he finds out that there's other experiments that Jumba was doing.
Working on, yeah.
So that happens, and this is the introduction of Reuben, one of my favorite characters in the franchise. He's a fat yellow experiment 625 who loves sandwiches, and every other experiment is very chaotic and doing shit, has weird powers, and Reuben just wants to make sandwiches.
There's so many shots of him just buttering bread, just putting a knife on bread.
It's so funny. He's just lazy as fuck. He doesn't want to do anything but eat sandwiches. I actually really loved it. It was fun. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember much else from this movie, except for the villain being Jacques Van Hamsterwheel.
Nice.
So that's cool. He shows up in Leroy and Stitch, which I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, and then we had Lilo and Stitch 2. Stitch has a glitch. Again, this is the actual second movie, but then this came before Stitch the movie and then the show. It's a weird release.
Did Lilo and Stitch 2, did that one go theatrical? Were any of these straight to DVD?
I think they were all straight to DVD,
okay.
Besides the original, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second one, Stitch has a glitch, and he's... I don't really remember what the glitch was. He just he's spazzing out and he's ruining stuff as Lilo's trying to do a hula thing. and he's really just messing up her life, which is really complicating her life. And Dakota Fanning voices Lilo in this movie. So that's cool, I guess. But again, I don't remember like the specifics of this movie.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Does Stitch like kind of die in the second one? Is that like a plot point?
Yes. In this one, Jumbo's trying to make this pod to put his molecules back together. And I don't actually know if it mattered because he builds it and then they bring Stitch to it at the end and they put him in there and then he like dies.
Yeah.
But then they like take him out of it and Lilo's crying and it's actually kind of like sad. I was like,
yeah, this is my wife hates this movie because she thought that was the most upsetting thing. She tells me all the time of how often she just cried because of this movie. She's a big Stitch fan. She has like I probably shouldn't say this. She has a Stitch stuffed animal that she sleeps with when I'm not there. Sometimes when I'm there. Sometimes when she's not there, I'll sleep with it. It's very soft. But yeah, she loves Stitch, but this movie like fucked her up in the head when she was a little girl. She was like, "Oh my god, he's dead."
Yeah, it's like for a
That's
Disney,
dramatic.
for like a Disney like straight to DVD sequel. I'm like, you know what? That's way to go there. Way to do that. But then you got Leroy and Stitch. Jacques von Hamsterwheel, he comes back.
Good.
And he wants to make his own version of Stitch, so he makes Leroy a red one.
Okay.
He's
I just
really-
remember like the basic visuals of some of these characters.
And like a lot of these I remember like seeing in passing on Disney Channel or like whatever as a kid watching. So like some of this was familiar. But yeah, so Leroy's an evil clone and they're trying to get him. Pleakley wants to be a teacher. Jumbo wants to go to his lab. It's all the things, it's whatever. You know. I don't have to tell you.
It's the story again.
The things. So yeah, watch through all those movies.
What's your ranking of the animated?
Of the animated ones, I'd go the original, obviously, and then 2, and then Stitch the movie, and then Leroy and Stitch.
Right.
And then we had the live action remake coming out, which I was like somewhat excited for because I thought it could be one of the better ones, and I think it generally is, which again is not saying much. Like there's not, besides like the Jungle Book, I don't love a lot of these.
Kenneth Branagh and Cinderella.
Yeah, I think that one's fine.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it's good. But yeah, the new one, again, it hits all the same beats. The things that stood out to me that I thought were good was Sydney Agudong, who plays Nani, the older sister in the movie. They actually do some interesting things with her towards the end, where they, and I actually liked it, they kind of change how she ends up, and they give her more, like of an arc towards the end of the movie instead of just being the older sister. They're like, there's even a line in the movie, one of the old woman who's a neighbor, she's like, "Yo, Hana means family and leaving nobody behind, and that also includes yourself. Like, don't leave yourself behind." And so she actually like goes to college and is like trying to better herself and have a life too, which I enjoyed. I thought that was something different and cool that they did.
I've heard a lot of people fucking hate that.
A lot of people hate it. I feel like I'm like
in my head, I'm like, that works completely fine for me. Like, I don't really care.
If you're gonna do this, like do something different.
Yeah, I don't want to shot for shot. Just now it's in live action.
Yeah,
like, I don't need that.
So that was really like honestly, Nani in this live action one was my favorite part of the movie. I thought she was really good. I don't know. It's weird because Zach Galifianakis and Billy Magnuson are Jumbo and Pleakley, and they come to Earth and then they're like humans because they don't want to show the visual effects and save money for whatever. But Zach Galifianakis feels like he's just sleepwalking through this movie, which is weird because he's very funny, obviously.
You would think that that'd be perfect casting, too.
And he's just like, he's kind of the straight man in this like comedy duo, and I was like, oh, you're so much funnier than just being like the guy like, no, we have to do this. And I'm like, that's kind of wasting your talents a little bit. But I don't know. It's a fine enough movie. Again, like this didn't need to be made at all, but it's already killing it at the box office, which is great to see. And the theater, when I saw it, was just packed and there were kids having fun, enjoying it. They were getting a little restless at the end, just like walking around the aisles and doing shit. Also, sorry, just a flashback to when I saw Karate Kid Legends. When I walked into the theater, there was an old woman clipping her nails. I was telling you this.
Don't do that in public.
That was crazy. I was like already kind of late for the movie. I sat down, and then I just hear clip, 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 and it's just like an old couple. I'm like, are you clipping your nails right now? Is that what we're doing?
Was the theater relatively full for Karate Kid, or was it just like mostly them?
There was, I don't know, maybe like 15 people total.
Okay, so that's not bad.
But yeah, anyways, I remembered that, and I was like, hey, that's crazy. But again, I'm happy that kids are enjoying this movie, and it is a good family movie. Like, if you want to bring your family to it, I think it is a good time. There's no reason to watch this over the original one, but I think it's, like, again, one of the better Disney live-action remakes, so it's not an awful watch.
I still haven't seen it. I likely will. The thing that really had me most excited for was Dean Fleischerkamp, because he made Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, or he made the A24 movie, not the original YouTube videos, I don't think. But and I love that movie. I think that movie is really charming. And to see someone with that kind of talent, those sensibilities, coming in and doing a Disney live-action remake, which I'm already like, I don't love the idea of all these remakes. I don't need all these stories again, just now in live action. I still haven't seen the 2019 Lion King. I don't fucking think I ever will, just because I don't like the Lion King. But I am really excited about this. I love the original Lilo and Stitch. It means a lot to my wife. We'll probably end up seeing this eventually. A lot of the negatives that I've heard, like kind of how they resolve things towards the end, especially with the older sister's character. Most of the things that people have gripes with, the way it sounds to me, I'm like, that kind of works for me. Like, I'm fine with that. So I'm excited to see it, kind of knowing what I do know. And I think I'll probably enjoy it. In terms of Disney live-action remakes, I think, like I said, I'd do away with them. Jungle Book is my favorite. Cinderella. I don't think that this one technically counts as a live-action remake, but I love Cruella with Emma Stone. I don't think it's not a live-action remake, because it's a different retelling. It's almost a Maleficent style movie of the 101 Dalmatians story, but I love Cruella. I think that's a very underrated Disney movie. I don't know if you've seen that. If you haven't, I would check it out.
I actually haven't. I've heard a lot of good things about it, though.
The costuming, the look of that movie, Emma Stone is amazing in that movie. And Paul Walter Hauser's in it, I think, too, so it's a really good movie. But yeah, I'll end up checking out Lilo and Stitch probably in the coming days. Maybe I'll see it on like a $5 Tuesday. Maybe when audiences are hopefully dying down. I love seeing movies in packed theaters. When it's like, hell yeah, we're in an Avengers movie. Everyone that's in this theater wants to see this movie, so everyone wants to shut up. Like, everyone will be quiet. But when you go to a kid's movie and it's just like, okay, I need to be in that mindset. Like, all right, there's going to be a lot of talking. Which, when I saw Minecraft, it was like that. And I actually really enjoyed it for that reason. So, who knows? But I will likely see it in the coming days. Movies that we talked about last week that I decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to watch them again this week, which doesn't really happen a whole lot often, especially in my adulthood. I remember as a kid, I'd rewatch movies like back to back. Like, I'd rewatch New Hope like 6 times in a row. I'd be like, all right, my day is over, time to go to bed. But I started running a lot more. I have a marathon coming up in the next 3 weeks up in Duluth. I'm doing Grandma's Marathon. So when I run on the treadmill, which I don't love doing, but when I run on the treadmill, I can put up my phone and just watch something. So I was like, you know what? After watching Final Reckoning last week, and I really want to go see Final Reckoning again in theaters, I was like, I'll rewatch Dead Reckoning. As it being one of my lower ranked Mission Impossible movies, maybe after seeing Final Reckoning, I will like this more retroactively knowing what I know now. And I do still really enjoy that movie. I think it is a really well-paced Mission Impossible movie. There are some beats of it that now aren't that interesting to me upon rewatch, a third rewatch. I still think the main stunt is kind of bland, but for what I need it to be for when I'm running, of like, all right, just run like Tom Cruise in this moment. Like when he's running through the airport, when he's running like anything, when he's running through the train cars, like anything like that, works perfect. I do still really enjoy this movie. Again, Mission Impossible is one of the most consistent franchises, not only action franchises, just franchises in general. So I finished rewatching Dead Reckoning while on the treadmill, and then I rewatched Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which I also watched last week, and is also a very good, fun time, and I'm very nostalgic for that one, as it was the first Mission Impossible movie I ever saw. So, yep, I'm not going to talk too much about it, because we spent like an hour and a half last week talking about our Mission Impossible rankings and Final Reckoning and all that, so rewatched them again this week. I still really like them. Go check them out. I don't know. But a good time, and the best type of movie of nonstop action to watch while you're running. Just something I'm like, all right, I can just shut my brain off and boom, we're in it. So I'll probably watch Mission Impossible 2 after I go run today, or while I go run today. So
hell yeah, bro. Watch the motorcycle.
Yeah, the jump. So I started Mission Impossible 2. I've got like half an hour into it. And I forgot just, like, I knew it's kind of like early 2000s cheesy and it's John Woo, but that one shot of where their cars are locked and they're spinning and it goes slow-mo and you hear, like, operatic music in the back. And they're just spinning. I'm like, oh my god, this is so wild that this happens in the same franchise as like a helicopter chase through cliffs in Fallout. Like, what is this?
There's no reason for that car chase.
No, it does. It's just them playing coy with each other, and then they spin out on this cliff side.
She almost dies.
Yeah, they both almost die.
And for what? What are we doing?
What are we doing? What is this?
That's
so
crazy.
it's a weird movie. It's fun to watch so far. So I'm gonna probably continue and finish it later on today.
Yeah, there you go.
But notable thing. Final episode of season 2 of Last of Us aired this past Sunday. There's been a lot of talk about season 2, viewership going down, Joel's death, like all this stuff. Like, all right, it's not as good. I don't know if Bella Ramsey can really lead this show. All this like banter back and forth. After coming off of episode 6, which was one of the best episodes of this season, with that really good, well-developed relationship again that we saw in the first season between Joel and Ellie, and seeing kind of their years following season 1 and the souring of their relationship was so good. And bringing us into this episode, I really loved this finale. I know I've seen some people are kind of split on it. I figured going into it, all right, we're going to see Abby in this episode. It's going to end on somewhat of a cliffhanger. Both of those were true. I kind of knew going into this what to expect, and I have a good idea as to where I think they're going now, and it's going to be a very Abby-centered story for Season 3, which I'm all for. But I really enjoyed this last episode of the season. Corey, what'd you think?
Yeah, I liked it too. People fucking hate this episode.
I don't get it.
People hate this season.
Yeah.
But again, like every week we talk about it. I haven't played the second game, but I still really dug this episode. I think it gave just a lot of depth to Ellie, and like as she's, spoiler alert for this episode, like when she kills Mel and Owen, I think it is, the pregnant woman and then her boyfriend.
Oh, what a good scene.
I thought that was great, and I know some people have been like, well, in the game, Ellie is just hell-bent on revenge, and like she didn't care who she was killing or whatever. But I think like killing a pregnant woman, especially as Dina's pregnant, like that worked for me.
You see
she's
the
like,
other side of it.
she's like, oh fuck, I took a life that I didn't mean to take, like with this baby. So I like that. The little detour to her on the island is very weird. Where she goes, like it. Cut that out. From what I've heard, that's not in the game.
She washes up on like the Seraphites island, and it's like, what's going on?
And then they like capture her, but then like an explosion goes off, and they let her go, and then she gets back on the boat and goes to the aquarium. I'm like, this could have been 10 minutes that we just saved here.
I'm fine with it only because it gives her more time with the Seraphites, but also it doesn't add anything to this overall episode.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this could pay off later, but if this is the season finale, don't add in stuff that you're not paying off in this episode.
Yeah. So that felt a little strange to me. But I did like her conversation earlier in the episode with Jesse, where they're both talking about how they both love Dina and just kind of their relationships there. So I thought that was good. I like the ending. Seeing Abby come back was great, and kind of the tease of what's to come, of going back to day 1 in Seattle and see what Abby's been up to this whole time. I'm really excited. I think it's a good cliffhanger. I don't know. I guess I don't really understand the like hate, discourse behind this episode. I think it was a very good season. I still prefer season 1 for sure, but I think this season still had a lot of very strong moments for sure.
I think because I season 1 is one of my favorite shows I've seen in the past 5 years easily. Season 2, and I think this is going to go into season 3 and potentially season 4 if they go into season, or if they do a 4th season. I don't think that they're ever going to reach how I feel about the first season of Last of Us, just because I don't think you can replicate it. That's when I got to see Joel and Ellie, and I love that for that. And I know I'm never going to get that really again after, especially episode 6 of season 2. And I'm fine with that. Like that's why that season is special. I still think that this show, I don't think there's been a low point this season. I think it's continuously is still setting and hitting new highs. And yeah, like people being a little upset that she's not so run and gun, emotionless killer. I'm like, that works in video games, but you need to have her be a character with depth and emotion. And when she kills someone that she wasn't planning on, or kills a pregnant woman and the baby dies, like she should feel that, like especially with how her current situation is going. So I don't agree with people being like, this is different from the game, so therefore bad. I'm like, well, you're just a little bit stupid in the fucking brain. because I think that this is really well done. I think Bella Ramsey is an exceptional actress, and she is phenomenal in this role. And I think she can lead this into the ending of this show whenever this show ends. I've heard them talk like season 3 is going to be Abby's story, and then season 4 will get more of the confrontation between the two characters, which, if that's the case, that works for me. I wish that the season was maybe an episode longer, but that's more just for selfish reasons. It feels weird having a 7-episode season after I think The Last of Us, the first season was like 8 or 9. I forget. But it does feel like a shorter, condensed story. I think that this has some darker elements than the first season. I think it handles a lot of those darker elements and like horrible, traumatic things like killing the man in the woods that is Catherine O'Hara's husband, like that, and like the line. And I think that there are just really good character moments within this show that fully flesh out these characters even more than they were in season 1. I'm excited to see how they incorporate more of Tommy into this show, just because I feel like he has been put on the back burner for a lot of this season, which is fine. Usually in the game he was in Seattle, and not to be like, it's not like it was in the game, therefore bad. He was on the back burner. I'm excited to see his role more after like the Jackson assault. You don't really get a whole lot of them. But I like this cliffhanger. I'm excited for what's to come. I don't want to wait a long time. I don't know when season 3 is expected to release. So I'm just like, just give that shit to me now so I can see it. If it was coming out next year, I'd be like, hell yeah. But I think it's probably going to be at least like 2. And I'm like, fuck you. Yeah. Give me a show right now.
If it was like next fall, that would be ideal.
That'd be so perfect.
Perfect fall time show, yeah.
So I love the first season. I love the second season. Prefer the first to the second, but still, I don't think that there's a misstep in this season. I think that they've handled a lot of the more difficult aspects from Last of Us Part 2 really well. And I'm excited to see how they continue to adapt it into the next seasons, because I have all the trust in Greg Mazin and Neil Druckmann to handle this and make this as a good adaptation of the game. Not beat for beat, but an adaptation that works for an audience and satisfies us both in just terms of how they handle characters and give them a little bit more emotional depth than just a run-and-gun video game character. Not to boil down all Last of Us characters to run and gun, but I'm really won over on this show. I am a big fan of it, and for those of people that are just hating on this show to hate on it or don't like Bella Ramsey, I think you should go get your brain checked or just don't watch the show. Just don't fucking dedicate time to it. Maybe go find something else to like or hate on. Just fuck off. But yeah, Last of Us Season 2, I think a resounding win for me.
Yeah.
Moving into the new releases coming out this upcoming week on June 6th, 2025, a movie that I was never really excited for, didn't really need, didn't really want, but the trailers have gradually kind of won me over, is Ballerina, which is being directed by Len Weissman, who made Underworld and Underworld Evolution, but more importantly, he made Live Free or Die Hard, which I think is a very underrated Die Hard movie.
It's
I
good.
love that movie. This film obviously takes place within the world of the John Wick franchise, and I think chronologically it takes place after 3 and before 4.
I think so, yeah.
But this is starring Ana de Armas. Keanu Reeves is in it in a substantial role from the looks of it. Ian McShane is also returning, and I think that this is the final performance of Lance Reddick. We'll also be having Norman Reedus here too. But the synopsis: an assassin trained in the traditions of the Ruska Roma organization sets out to seek revenge after her father's death. So a revenge movie with John Wick action, with not John Wick, with Ana de Armas. But I loved her in No Time to Die. I think that her action handlings in that movie, I thought she was fantastic. So I'm excited to see her in this movie. Like I said, I wasn't really gunning for it. I don't need a spin-off of this franchise. I actually don't want John Wick 5. I want this franchise to be done. I think you guys did it, and you did it well. Leave it. But you know what? All right, if you're going to return to the well, then you better make it good. And this movie, I feel like, with the trailers, I've been kind of, like I said, gradually won over. Yeah,
I think this, and I hate to say this like before seeing a movie, but it feels like one where I know how I'm going to feel afterwards, where I'm like, it's a good action movie, a fine addition to the franchise, didn't really need it, but I think it's good.
I feel like Atomic Blonde. I like Atomic Blonde. I don't think it's the best action movie I've ever seen, but I really like the action in it. I feel like this can live within that realm, and I'm eager to see how it ranks in my overall like view of the franchise of like the John Wick movies. Will it hold up to like my lowest John Wick 2, or will it like be as good as the original John Wick? I don't know, but I'm excited to see how they handle the action and to have a new director in this franchise that isn't one of the main. Is it Stahelski?
Chad Stahelski. Yeah.
So I'm eager to see kind of how they handle this, and with a new person behind the camera, how that works, and if the stunts are still as good, if not.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this one. Another one that I am very, very excited for is the new movie from Mike Flanagan, one of the best horror directors working today. It's The Life of Chuck, which this is not really a horror movie, but it's based on a Stephen King book, or a novella, and it's essentially like 3 chapters chronicling a person's life. Tom Hiddleston is kind of the main person there, but it's him as a kid, and throughout his life, and I don't really know what the story is of his life.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, and I don't want to know much going into it, but Mike Flanagan being attached to it, it's got a really good cast here. I love seeing Tom Hiddleston in a lead role because I think he's so good, and outside of the MCU, I feel like I haven't seen him do a ton of stuff. I'm like, he's a great actor, so I'm really excited for this one. Mike Flanagan is always doing something interesting, and he's one of the most consistent directors working today, I can't wait to see this one.
Yeah, and it has a stacked cast. You got Tom Hiddleston, you got Chiwetel Ejiofor, Karen Gillan, Mark Hamill in it, playing the father of young Chuck, so I'm really excited to see it. And it's a Stephen King adaptation that's more in line with like the Shawshank and Green Mile side of Stephen King, as opposed to like the Carrie and like the horror of Stephen King. So I'm really eager to see how that works out. A movie that I'm definitely going to skip this upcoming week, don't care to see. Not Life of Chuck. I'm really excited to see Life of Chuck, but The Phoenician Scheme, directed by Wes Anderson. Fuck this movie. Don't care about this movie. And that's coming from a person that's a fan of a lot of Wes Anderson movies. Wes Anderson obviously made The Fantastic Mr. Fox, which I think is probably my favorite of his movies, along with The Grand Budapest Hotel. He also made Asteroid City, which is kind of just him doing Wes Anderson doing Wes Anderson, which a lot of his recent movies I feel like have boiled down to. But this film is starring Benicio del Toro, Michael Cera, which is the first time collaboration between him and Wes Anderson, Willem Dafoe, which is just a mainstay of Wes Anderson's casts, Rupert Friend, Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston, and Riz Ahmed. It's about a wealthy businessman, and you watch the trailer and they'll spell out the synopsis for you there, and it looks like Wes Anderson, and every shot is framed like a Wes Anderson shot. The color palette is very pastel and very Wes Anderson-y, and the characters all talk in a very weird, idiosyncratic way of just like saying exactly what's happening in an odd way. Oh wow, why are you shooting at my chandelier? This is a stick-up. Yeah, but why are you shooting? It's like, I don't care. I'm so excited for this movie to come and go. I'm sure some people will love it. I'm sure some people will be like, it's not his best work, because it probably won't be. But I'm so tired of his shtick. I feel like he has really found a niche since Grand Budapest Hotel, even like Moonrise Kingdom, that feels like the beginning of the turn into this style that he is so now known for. And now he only works within that style. Whenever he makes something that's different than this, I'll go see it. This one, I'm just going to boycott. I don't care. I'm sure there'll be fans of it. I'm sure they'll tell me, oh no, it's actually pretty good. I liked The French Dispatch. Asteroid City is fine. They're all blending together, though, and they're all starting to feel the same. And I don't care. It's just visually boring.
Yeah, I agree that he has kind of fallen into the same pattern of doing the Wes Anderson thing for a while. I was actually talking with a coworker about it, and she was like, yeah, kind of, a lot of his movies are whatever. She's like, I would love a coffee table book of his shots.
Yeah.
Just in the movie, 100%. Which I'm sure exists, but it's just like, his visual style is always very interesting, and it looks incredible. And that's something I can't take away. It's just the story and, like, everything else feeling sort of similar, but, like, that style is very, like, appealing to look at. So I probably will see this in theaters. Again, another kind of busy week. Not a lot of, like, rewatches to do, but just these 3 big movies that I kind of want to check out. I know it's this movie's in limited release right now, so kind of getting a expanded release this week. Something that I just found out is coming out this week is called The Ritual. It stars Al Pacino and Dan Stevens as 2 priests, and they have to perform an exorcism. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Did you see the trailer for this?
I haven't seen anything.
Oh, okay. I only heard about this through, I forget what movie I was watching, but I saw the trailer for it. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I was just looking at the main releases for the week and saw this was there. So, sure. I don't know. I'm not going to see this in theaters, but if I hear it's good, then maybe I'll eventually check it out.
It just doesn't feel like it's going to be good. There's not a lot of late Al Pacino movies that have been great, aside from maybe like The Irishman. And I feel like, I'm like, how do you get a cast like this? Well, if you tell Dan Stevens that Al Pacino's in a movie and you could be in a movie with Al Pacino, Dan Stevens is probably like, yeah, I'll check it off my list, even though this movie's probably ass. The trailer looked pretty like formulaic, pretty just like paint by numbers exorcism movie with a older priest mentoring a younger priest. So sure, whatever. I guess that's coming out. I can't imagine that it's gonna make a lot of money, but hopefully, you know what? There's a lot of like diverse. It's a good palette of movies coming out this week. You got an action, you got a drama, you got Wes Anderson's kind of kitschy comedy. You got The Ritual, which is a horror, and then coming to Hulu, we have straight to streaming an animated film, Predator: Killer of Killers, which is coming from Dan Trachtenberg, who made Predator. He's making Predator: Badlands, and he also made Prey.
And 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Which
Great
is
movie.
Amazing. But this film is coming straight to streaming to Hulu, and it's almost like an anthology of three of the fiercest warriors in human history becoming prey to the Predator and having to fend him off. So the trailer looks cool. The animation styling looks really cool. I'm not gonna like eagerly like sit down and watch it the moment it drops on Hulu. But I will likely end up checking it out just because I did love Prey. I'm stoked for Badlands. I really like Dan Trachtenberg as director, so I'm like, there's something here that is worth seeing, and especially the animation styling. I'm pretty sold on.
Yeah, I'm actually more excited for this than Predator: Badlands, I think.
Really?
I think this is exactly what they should do with the Predator franchise.
Just set him in different situations.
And this is
different
perfect
time periods,
of doing animation. I love the style of the animation in the trailer. And yeah, just doing like, I think it's like samurai, Vikings, and like a World War II thing. Like, sweet. I love that. Seeing all these different warriors fighting the Predator. That's what I want to see. I hope Badlands is good too. I'm still very excited for it. But
I was a little disappointed when I found out that Predator: Badlands doesn't like take place on Earth. That it's a different futuristic planet.
Kind of like Predators.
Yeah, I'm like, I kind of just wanted another, like what we're getting in this, Predator: Killer of Killers.
Yeah.
I kind of wish we were getting more of like those, what if a samurai went up against it? Like,
Yeah,
just
that's
give me
cool.
a more like fun dynamics. Like it was really, what they did with Prey was really effective, and I really did like that movie. Of these 5 new releases, even though one of them is going straight to streaming, which one are you most excited for?
I think Life of Chuck.
Yeah.
Just with Mike Flanagan again, and just not knowing really what it is. But like you said, there's a lot of options at the box office right now. Not just these, but also Lilo and Stitch, fun family movie, action with Mission Impossible. You got Karate Kid Legends, which is kind of a fun family type action movie too. So it's been a pretty good summer so far.
Yeah, a lot of diverse programming, a lot of stuff that you can kind of go see for really anyone that, whatever you're into, you could probably find a movie that's going to satisfy you or give you a good time at the theaters. I'm likely most excited for Life of Chuck just because I feel like that actually has potential to make it to like this upcoming year's Oscars. Like I think it has that type of quality behind it. And from what I've heard from like early screenings and all that stuff, it sounds like a lot of people are really digging it. So, and to see Tom Hiddleston in something that's not the MCU, like he's in Crimson Peak, but like I like struggle to think of like a lot of major releases of movies that he was in. Or
Kong Skull Island.
He was actually, I really like that movie.
That movie's sweet.
Good. So it's nice to see him in theaters and leading a movie, and also Mark Hamill in something like, hell yeah, he's in this, and I think, isn't he also in that A Long Walk, the one that we were just talking about?
Oh yeah.
So it's like, all right, Mark Hamill, a little bit of a resurgence. That's sweet.
Yeah, so a lot of good options this week.
Yeah.
As far as physical media stuff, neither of us bought anything this week.
No.
But
I think this is the first week I didn't buy anything.
Oh,
I
that's
think.
all right.
I'm taking a break.
Yeah, take a
I'm
break.
settling
That's
down.
okay. That's all right.
I am looking at the Dead Reckoning steelbook of the motorcycle jump, where it's like Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning down the middle of the steelbook, and that's might get that, even though I don't love that movie. I really like it, but I don't. I'm like, it's not my favorite.
Buy
Let's
it.
see
You gotta complete
But it's like
the collection.
$40. I'm like, do I want to fucking?
Oh, do it.
Oh yeah, you're such
Yeah.
a good influence.
It's
That's
great. But yeah, this week coming out, there actually is a cool release, Freaky Tales, which you saw.
I really like that movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but they're doing a VHS release. I think it's the 4K and Blu-ray in there,
Sweet.
but like in the VHS packaging, which seems like it fits the vibe of that movie pretty well.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool release. I like when they do stuff like that. And then just a couple of older releases coming out. Brazil on 4K.
4K Criterion.
Yep, Criterion. And then When Evil Lurks, which I actually haven't seen, but you gave me the Blu-ray of it a while back because you said you didn't really like it.
No, because a lot of people built that up as like, wow, this is one of the best horror movies of recent memory, and I really was nothing really like surprised me in that. I was like, all right, this is fine. I don't like this movie that much, and I just gave it to you. I'm like, you might like it more, and if you like it a lot, maybe I'll go back and rewatch it. But I was just like,
Then you'll buy it again.
Yeah, then I'll buy it again. But I was like, yeah, it's fine. Brazil, I've been actually weirdly wanting to buy the Criterion Blu-ray of that, so I might, because I want to see this movie. I've never seen it. So maybe I'll check that out here soon. Moving into movie news, the Netflix To Doom event, which I know you love the name of that, released a lot of information. We got a... Before
you get into it, I found out, like, somewhat recently that, like, the Netflix noise, that's what it's named after, the To Doom. Like,
To Doom? Yeah.
That's from House of Cards.
Yeah.
When Kevin Spacey, like, bangs the table. Found that out, like, fairly recently. That's... I never knew that before.
It's weird that, like, for me, Netflix got good and was like the service to get when House of Cards was on, and now I never hear about or think about House of Cards unless you're talking about Kevin Spacey and his weird shit. So it's like, weird. That's just such a distant, like, forgotten
early
memory.
days.
The early days of Netflix and like quality streaming shows on Netflix. But anyways, their To Doom event, which is stupidly named, gave us a Squid Game season 3 trailer, which is coming out June 27th. I haven't watched any of Squid Game.
I haven't either.
I might watch the first season just because I feel like that was such a big, like... I feel like that was a water cooler show when it came out. At least, I had a lot of friends talking about it, and I was like, oh, maybe I should check it out. I heard season 2 was alright, but didn't really keep up a lot of the same momentum. Happy Gilmore 2 trailer! Boom! Coming out July 25th. Are you excited?
Have
you seen Happy Gilmore? You've seen Happy Gilmore.
I've seen parts of it.
Parts?
Yeah. I'm not a huge Adam Sandler comedy fan.
Yeah, that's fine.
I like him when he does serious stuff. I think he's a lot better. His comedy, I'm like, I don't think you're that funny.
Yeah. Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison were, like, really nostalgic for me. We grew up on those movies a lot. I don't think that funny, but I like the look of Happy Gilmore in the Bruins jersey just heaving on the ball with a hockey stick.
I think Adam Sandler in real life is really funny.
Yeah.
And I like him just like in basketball shorts on talk shows. I think he's cool, but his comedies, I'm like,
This was a straight to streaming for Netflix as well, but The Hustle?
Hustle is great.
Hustle, okay.
I love that movie.
Never saw that. And isn't Ant in that?
Yeah, Anthony Edwards is in it, which...
Sad. Yeah, we lost.
We didn't even talk about the Wolves. Yeah, we kind of...
Wolves really shit the bed.
We're not back. I think like the past like 3 weeks, we're like, Wolves back. Wolves not back.
Wolves not back. Wolves fucked up. Actually.
You could feel it.
Wolves didn't show up at all.
Yeah.
I looked at the score of the first quarter. I'm like, I don't even know if I need to turn this on. And I was like, third quarter. I'm like, all right, I'll watch some of it. I'm like, oh, this is not good.
No, I don't know. Pacers Thunder is... I don't hate that finals, I guess, because like Pacers have never won.
Did the Pacers...
Pacers beat the Knicks last night.
Oh, fuck, I didn't even look at that.
So
I was rooting for the Knicks.
Thunder, as in Oklahoma City, they've never won a title. They won as the Supersonics, but I don't know. It could be a fun finals. Yeah. We'll see.
Anyway, the Netflix To Doom movie.
Oh yeah, sorry, back to this.
I'm excited for Happy Gilmore 2 just because of the nostalgia. Wednesday season 2, we got a trailer for. That's coming out August 6th. We got Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein trailer coming out November 2025. Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery trailer, December 12th is the release. I butchered that. December 12th release, which I'm actually really excited for. I hope that they put that in theaters like they did with Glass Onion. Just do it for longer, because you'll probably make a good amount of money doing that. There also is a Stranger Things Season 5 trailer, Volume 1, which will release on November 26th, and then Volume 2 will be released a month later on December 25th, a little Christmas Day. And the finale, the ending episode, the final episode of the show releases on December 31st, which is really cool. I kind of like how they handled the release plan for the last season of Stranger Things, and I think it worked out really well. I'm not super thrilled that they've kind of talked about each episode being like a movie in and of itself of like almost 2 hours long. I'm like, oh my fucking god, you're gonna take up a lot of my time.
Yeah. But I'm okay with that release. I forget how many like total episodes there are. I think it's like 2 or 3 episode chunks for each of these, like Volume 1, Volume 2, and the finale. Yeah. So I'm down for that. I'm actually very excited for the season. I love season 4.
Yeah, and I think season 4 was probably the strongest for me.
I think, that's my second favorite season. So
what's your favorite?
The original, the first season. Yeah, I think it's 1, 4, 3, 2.
I go 1 is my least favorite. I go 4. I think I go 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
But that one episode in season 2 where it's like the knockoff shitty X-Men, that is one of the worst things I've ever seen.
That's wild.
That is horrible.
Yeah. It's dog shit.
But I remember I was late to the game and I saw season 1 and I'm like, it's fine. Like, I didn't love it like most people did. But I am really excited for season 5. I'm excited for them to finally end this show, just because it feels like it's been going on for so long for us to only have 5 seasons of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy fuck, how has the show not ended yet?
Yeah, we were still in fucking history class, like doing shit in high school when this show started. So Yeah, very excited for that one. I think the Frankenstein trailer looks really good.
Sweet, yeah.
I'm down. Like Jacob Elordi as Frankenstein's monster, and Oscar Isaac, fucking love it. So love the vibe of that one. And then Wake Up Dead Man. I like the kind of old English look, font and look to it. I think that looks sweet.
I love Daniel Craig with the long hair. I'm like, that's sick.
Yeah, no, I'm pumped. I don't know if this Tudum event is a new thing. I don't remember this being a thing before.
I feel like I remember that. I don't remember it being specifically called Tudum, but I feel like they do kind of a big, almost not Comic-Con.
Here's some looks.
Yeah, here's
movies,
a big look at our upcoming slate almost.
Yeah, so there's a lot of other things too. I know they showed some stuff for One Piece, which I don't know anything about, but a lot of things. So if you're down for some Netflix stuff, they released a lot of things last night. Going to another streaming service, HBO Max. They've got the Harry Potter series coming out, which I love the Harry Potter franchise. I think those 8 movies are amazing and very consistent. And with that being said, I think if they never made any Harry Potter movies and they were looking to adapt the books, a series is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm not completely against this idea. It's just that coming off of the movies, it's very difficult to win me over. But
yeah, I feel like you're setting yourself up for comparison the entire time, which they're going to go into more depth into the books than the movies really could. So there'll be differences, but I feel like you're just the casting alone. We're going to be comparing that.
Yeah. So we've had some casting news in previous weeks, but we got the big 3. They were crouching in a field for a picture.
Yeah, love that photo.
Sure. Right. You got Dominic McLaughlin as Harry Potter, Arabella Stanton as Hermione Granger, and Alistair Stout as Ron Weasley. They all look the part. They all seem charming. I mean, we obviously don't really know their work, but there is a audition tape of Arabella Stanton as Hermione, and it's actually really good. Mm-hmm. I'd recommend you watch it because she's really capturing kind of the Emma Watson early Sorcerer's Stone. Yeah, so seeing that, I'm like, oh, okay, you kind of won me over. Yep. So again, I'm very curious about this one. I think they could do some good stuff and, like you said, expand on the books because I love the books as well, and do things that they just didn't have time for in the movies.
Yeah, I'm actually getting pretty excited for this series as someone who I've never read the books. I have seen all 8 movies and I love those movies. And I didn't think I really needed a show, but when you break it down, it's those books are dense, and the movies really can only tackle and adapt so much of those books. So I'm excited to see kind of how they work that into the franchise. Even more so, I'm excited for the people in my life that love Harry Potter more than me, that are like, hell yeah, we get more Harry Potter. That's not the Fantastic Beasts franchise. Yeah. And it's just more Harry Potter, and we get to see these characters. And the cast looks like the cast. Dominic McLaughlin, these kids look the part. They work for me. One thing, Alistair Stout, baller name. Sick name. That is crazy. A strong name.
That's the name of an IPA we would drink on this show.
That is a tough name, and he looks like Ron Weasley. And I know Hermione Granger, or the actress playing Hermione Granger, Arabella Stanton. She has a lot of prior experience on West End, and which is basically our Broadway here, and she's a really good stage actor. And I think Dominic McLaughlin has acted alongside Nick Frost in some sort of straight-to-TV work. So some kind of experience with some of his upcoming co-leads or co-actors with Nick Frost, I think, being on as... Is he Hagrid? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's sweet. So I've really dug a lot of the casting that they've announced for the show. And, it's crazy... these 3 kids wake up hearing that they're now Harry Potter, they're Ron Weasley, they're Hermione Granger. That is life-altering work. Yeah. You are now in contract for so long. It's so wild. Now we're gonna see these kids grow up for so long. So the pressure's on them, and that's scary for me. If I was 25 and they're like, hey, we have you're on the docket for 8 years of things that are gonna be heavily scrutinized by the public, so you better bring your A game. I'd be sweating and shitting my pants profusely. I don't understand how someone handles that amount of pressure. They look the part. I'm sure they'll do great. I'm excited to see it, and I'm getting really stoked for this new show. One thing I'm not that excited for is a announcement that kind of came out of left field, I feel like. Ben Stiller's on a hot streak with Severance, so he said, why not revisit something that no one's asking for with Meet the Parents? But apparently there's a 4th movie reportedly going into production, coming with Ariana Grande, which is also interesting. Don't see the... Hey, Ariana Grande, you're doing really great in Wicked. You want to be in this tired comedy franchise from the early 2000s to late 90s? Okay. I know you haven't seen really any of the franchise. I love Meet the Parents. I grew up watching Meet the Fockers, and I thought the word fuckers was perfect as a child because I was like, oh my god, do people know how close that is to fuckers? Like, oh my god, that's so smart. So I really like Meet the Fockers and Meet the Parents. Little Fockers is, it's rough. Didn't need a fourth one. They're gonna make a fourth one. All right, Ariana Grande is gonna be like supposedly the love interest or the female lead, basically winning over Ben Stiller's son in the movie. Whatever. All right, sure. Don't need it. I'll likely end up seeing it because I'm nostalgic for this franchise, but whatever.
Yeah, like you said, I haven't seen any of the movies. Surprisingly, a franchise I've missed out on. So you already know I'm gonna watch through them all when this movie comes out.
It'd be like I said, those first two movies are very pleasant and they're very funny. So I think you'll have a good rewatch.
Yeah, like I'm excited to watch them, and that's like a lot of these like legacy sequels or whatever. I don't love a lot of them, but it does provide me the opportunity to go back and watch this stuff, and that's kind of why I do it too, is to re-explore a lot of these franchises through the years. And,
that you missed and stuff.
Yeah, it's a fun time to do that. And I mean, Ariana Grande was super funny and Victorious, like when we were growing up watching that. So
it's wild, yeah.
She has the comedy chops for it.
She does, yeah.
So
and she's great as Glinda.
Yeah.
So like,
I think she could fit in and like have some fun jokes and everything in there. Last little bit of news. A movie that is very important to both of us, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, getting a sequel. We talked about it a while back. David Fincher's directing it. Going to Netflix, maybe to theaters also. I don't know.
Hopefully they'll do a theatrical release. Netflix needs to correct their shit, yeah.
If they don't, I'm gonna
be really
riot.
pissed. This is the movie that really pissed me off. Did not put this in theaters at all.
But we got obviously Brad Pitt is starring in the movie, but we got Elizabeth Debicki and Scott Conn joining the cast. Elizabeth Debicki, I think, is a really good actress. She's again Widows you mentioned earlier. The Guardians movies, I like her in.
Oh yeah, forgot that she's even in those.
And then Scott Conn, I grew up watching Hawaii Five-0 all the time.
I just know it's James Caan's son, so
Hawaii Five-0 was like, we had all the like Criminal Minds, Person of Interest, Hawaii Five-0 on in my house all the time. So just like seeing him in that show, I was like. And like I said, I like Hawaii setting stuff. So.
I only know him from that show, and I never watched that show. But I know you name Scott Conn, I know exactly what this man looks like. I've never seen any of his work though. But excited, it's James Caan's son, so whatever, sure, put him in there.
Yeah, I'm excited for this movie. Like I cannot wait.
This is the most like bullshit, like April Fool's joke of an announcement that they're making a sequel, and it's coming from David Fincher. Like
crazy.
What is that? That feels like an April Fool's joke. But I can't wait for that. Hopefully Netflix, you get your head out of your ass and you put it in theaters. Also do that with Wake Up Dead Man. We want to see both of them.
And Frankenstein, please.
And Frankenstein. Give these movies theatrical releases. Did they do one for Pinocchio? Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio? I forget.
Probably like a very limited thing.
I don't get how they make money and why they're just like, you know what, we don't want to make money in the theaters. We'll just do it on our streaming service because, I don't know.
It's insane.
Anyways, thank you for sitting down and having some liquor drinks with us for another episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more in-depth movie reviews. I'll be posting a review for Bring Her Back likely in the coming days. Subscribe to our podcast. In the world of film, it's not just about what happens on screen, but also about who's sitting next to you in the theater.
For Mason and I at Slate Night, that's a wrap.